So drawing outside the lines, we had this weekend, this was a great weekend here, and two things happened. One was that the family game night was awesome. So if you weren't here, if you missed it, put it on your calendar and come next time, the first Friday of April, because it was a riotous, wonderful time. The other thing that happened, which reminded me about drawing outside the lines, we had that Zen Tango class, and I almost looked like I had some artistic ability. I was so thrilled. It was just really exciting. She says that anybody can do that, and I am the testament to say, yes, anybody can do it. It was great. So what I'm talking about this month is living a spiritual life. And last week, I talked about living with intention, a spiritual life with intention, and living from the heart. So this week, I want to talk about a spiritual practice that was famous or important during the Middle Ages, and it is coming back into vogue, as all spiritual things seem to have a cycle. And this is Lectio Divina, which means it's a Latin term for spiritual reading. And it is a very powerful practice that can serve in many ways. Parker Palmer, I love the way this happens, the serendipitous way that things show up. I think I've talked about Peter Nepo, who was Mark Nepo, who was somebody that I'm really fond of. And he today, in the reading today, quoted Parker Palmer, who was an educator. And Parker Palmer said, "The inner life of any great thing will be incomprehensible to me until I develop and deepen an inner life of my own." Let me read that again, because that really speaks to the whole idea of Lectio Divina. "The inner life of any great thing will be incomprehensible to me until I develop and deepen an inner life of my own." So I talked a little bit about coming here on Sunday is like putting the tip of your foot into the ocean, or as compared to living a spiritual life on a day-to-day basis, which is like swimming in the ocean. So we can live a life that is much like skipping a rock across a pond. And that is the spiritual life, just touching on it a little bit. Or we can make an intention to delve into the depths of our being, where we're connected with spirit on the deepest level. So it's the difference between skipping a rock across the pond or swimming in the ocean. And it's a choice. So Lectio Divina is a method of really moving into the depths of spirit. So this is how it works. First, for me, the most difficult thing, now we're talking about spiritual reading. So the most difficult thing for me is to find something to read. And it may sound silly, but finding that message in writing can be kind of tricky. So there's several ways that you can do that. You can just listen for a quote or a message. For me, right now, this Palmer Parker message, "The inner life of any great thing is incomprehensible until I develop a depth of my own." So to absolutely be with that phrase, or be with any phrase that you choose. And read it, and comprehend it, and chew on it, and suck all of the juice out of it that you can possibly gain. Because this is just another method, another way for Spirit to speak to you. So finding your message, asking for guidance. This week, what I did was I just thumbed through the Bible and opened it up and put my finger on it. And I'll tell you in a minute what came up for me. So the most important thing, or one issue in essence, is finding the passage. Now, if you have a particular problem that's going on for you, you can hold that in prayer and ask for guidance, and I swear to you, inevitably, the answer will come to you through some reading that you have chosen. So find your message, and then meditate on it, reflect on it, chew on it, read it, take it apart, look at each word, see what Spirit has to offer you. So you can look at the Bible, you can look at some passage that comes to you, you can get Science of Mind and open that up. You can listen. And then that is God speaking to you. You can trust that. If you have a question, if you're looking for answers, ask for guidance and it will come. And the message will be there for you, deeply and richly. And then have a heartfelt conversation with Spirit about it. Talk to God about it. What is it that you mean? What is it that's meant? What is the universe? What is that divine essence within me trying to tell me, trying to direct me? Where am I supposed to go? Who am I supposed to see? What am I supposed to get out of this reading, this divine, sacred reading, this Lectio Divina? What am I to hear? What am I to learn? What is it that you have for me? One of the most satisfying things that I ever did, I may have mentioned this before, is that I taught a man to read. Carl was his name. And Carl was an amazing, amazing fellow because he had an ability to remember and memorize because he was dyslexic and had extreme learning disabilities. He compensated by remembering. And so Carl had an amazing facility for quoting the Bible because he was deeply involved in his church. So he would espouse these long biblical phrases, and yet he had no understanding of what they meant. I remember one time we had this odd sort of conversation because he believed that books should be banned that were against God. And we met in the library. I know. And he was so clear about how Judy Blume's book that talked about teenage suicide was causing young girls to commit suicide. What? So I said to him, well, Carl, have you ever read that book? Well, no, he hadn't, but his pastor had told him all about it and quoted the Bible verse that justified banning books. He did learn to read. And it's my hope. I had to move, so I didn't know the rest of the story other than when we parted company, he was able to read fairly well. But it's my hope that he was also able to examine what he was reading and read it from a place of depth, to go deeper into it. And I think that's what this whole Lectio Divina is about. It's not just skipping across the surface, not just reading quickly through a passage, but it's going deeper into it. Getting the message that is there for each one of us. Because you can read a passage, and I can read a passage, and we get two entirely different messages from it, because we're reading them from our own personal spiritual filter. So, choose your message, read it deeply and richly, make it your own, hold on to it for an extended period of time, and then listen. Have a conversation with Spirit about the message. Listen to what God has to say to you, and it'll be unique just for you. It'll be a message just for you. Mark Nepo, I'm going to talk about that because this is the message from him today. I love that. He says, too often while caught off from our inwardness, we complain about things that are shallow and boring, when more often it is us that is out of touch. So we complain that, oh, this is shallow, or this is not a message for me, when truly it is our lack of intention to go deeper, to know ourselves and know what we can glean from any particular message. Lectio Divina, reading it deeply, hearing what Spirit has to give us, to offer us. Find the message, read it, let it speak to you, and then contemplate it. Rest in it. Let whatever it is that's to be percolate up to you. Let it be deep and rich for you. So my cousin sent me my grandmother's Bible. And I have to tell you that the Bible and I have not been warm personal friends over my life. But I was thinking about Lectio Divina, and so I got my grandmother's Bible. And oh, here's the thing. What a gift it was. This is just an aside. My father's gravestone says that he was born 777. Which is just not the truth.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. So my sister got it in her head that he was born in 777, put it on his gravestone, but the family Bible has the truth. I'm going to Xerox a copy of that and send it to my sister. He was born on the 10th, July 10th of 1907. Yeah. But anyway, that's just an aside, because my grandmother's Bible told me this. So I flipped through it. I was, I had something I can't even remember now. I can't even remember what I was looking for, as far as the answer goes. But this is where I opened, to Isaiah 51. And it says, "Hearken to me, ye that follows after righteousness, ye that seeks the Lord. Look into the rock whence you are hewn, and to the hole of that whence you are digged." What? But I sat with it. And I went to the Lectio Bible, and I looked up the phrase. And the mountain refers to that essence that is God. So the rock translates actually as mountain, and so it is God. So when we read it that way, "Hearken to me, ye that follows after righteousness, seek ye the Lord," that's pretty straightforward. Look unto God, from whence you are hewn, from whence you are shaped and molded and modeled, and the hole from which you are digged. When I keep with it, when I read it and I stay with it, then it starts to make sense. And so what it said to me, this might not be the truth for you, but what it said to me was, in this issue, in this problem, listen. Listen, because you follow after righteousness, the way of the Lord. Listen, because Spirit has something to say to me. And then turn back to that from which I came. Turn back to my Creator, the divine, the essence. Go back from the place that I originated, the God stuff. Listen, and go back to where you came from, the divine, the Creator. And the rest of it will take care of itself. I found that very soothing, very affirming. It was the answer that I was looking for. And this method of living a spiritual life will also give you what you're looking for. If you look with an intention and you look with an open heart, the answers are always there for you. They always come. If you look deeply into yourself, into what God, that one essence, that deeper part of yourself, however you want to frame it or reference it, not God out there, not the universe out there, but that part of you that is divine, always has the answers, always will guide and direct you to what you're looking for. That's how we live a spiritual life. Trusting and having faith and moving deeply within ourselves, trusting ourselves to find the tools and the methods to be in spirit, to be with God. So, that's my message for you today. Just open a book, put your finger on there, and the answer will come. I promise you, I guarantee you, it cannot be otherwise. Because God's right there with you, guiding and directing you, taking your little finger and putting it right where it needs to be. It happens every time. So I wish you a week of spiritual living. I wish you a week of being deeply invested, surrounded, filled up with the divine. Namaste. So I'd invite the minister, the practitioners to join with me as they hold this space in consciousness. They just wrap their arms around you, the divine arms of loving spirit. And I invite you to turn within. I invite you to move into that sacred place within where you are deeply connected with the One. I invite you to gather up all that you are seeking answers for, all that may be troubling you, all that is not going smoothly. Just gather it up and place it on the altar of the divine. Knowing that it's being worked on by that powerful law. When you surrender all that's troubling you, when you hand all that is troubling you over to the divine, you can trust and know that the answers are coming. The answers are available. The answers are there. It cannot be otherwise. Just surrendering it all at the altar of the divine. Giving it up. And letting that magnificent essence be at work on your behalf. Healing what needs to be healed. Fixing what is out of order for you. Smoothing over the rough places. Calling you back to the truth of who you are at your deepest level. At the mountain of your essence. And then let it be. Give it over and allow that deeper, richer part of you to be at work. The divine law, the essence, that which steps forward on our behalf. And I invite you now to just allow your heart to fill up with the grace and the gratitude of knowing that all is well. It's all handled. It is all at peace. And letting your heart just bubble up with joy and harmony and celebration. Because you are the beloved. You are the dear essence of all that is good. And therefore, good and only good can flow to you. So in gratitude, in celebration, I invite you to just allow it to be and to step away and allow God. And join with me as we do that absolutely literally by declaring it done and by saying, and so it is.